This is our keynote session, fireside chat on how to build your CX culture. And it's my honor to introduce you to Tamieca Hamlin and Jesse Jones. Tamieca is a retired federal executive and consultant with over 25 years of experience advancing customer experience, digital transformation, and service delivery across government and industry. She served as the Deputy Chief Customer Experience Officer at USDA, where she co-led Enterprise CX Transformation, the USDA GSA CX Centers of Excellence, and cross-government initiatives focused on reducing burden on customers. Widely regarded as a national thought leader and trusted connector, Tamieca is recognized for bridging strategy and execution, helping agencies, vendors, and partners deliver measurable outcomes that improve people's lives. She is also a two-time Service to the Citizen Award recipient and a featured leader in multiple industry analyses. Jesse Jones is the director of Your Washington, the state agency working to make government services simpler, faster, and easier to use. A longtime consumer advocate and award-winning journalist, Jesse built his career standing up for people and holding powerful institutions accountable. He is best known to Washington audiences for his years of investigative reporting and his Get Jesse segment, helping residents tackle unfair business practices, scams, and red tape. Over his career, Jesse has earned multiple Emmy Awards, and in 2024 was inducted into the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Silver Circle for more than 25 years of service in journalism. A Tacoma native, Jesse lives in the area with his wife Kim and their daughter Sydney. His mission remains the same, helping Washingtonians get answers, get help, and get justice. And without further ado, I'll hand it over to Jesse.
Thank you very much, Rachel, who's been like my rock through this entire process. Thanks for coming today. Once again, my name is Jesse Jones. I am the director of Your Washington. Obviously, the name has changed, but our mission has too. We're moving from a lean focused team who will now use those principles to guide us on a new journey. And that is providing excellent customer experience to the people of Washington State. This change has taken time. We've been working on our own transformation for months. Governor Bob Ferguson is making CX a major priority in his administration. He told me that ensuring that constituents get the best government service possible is job one for our team. He also provided us with a wonderful tool to make that happen. Executive Order 2506 is the key to bringing excellent customer service to the people. I've passed the EO around. I believe it's the best customer experience EO in the country. It brings innovation, coordination, and silo busting as its key points of action. We will work and partner with WATech, the state's IT agency, to create a portal, a single sign-in, no wrong door approach to government. We are also working together to replace SAW. And you know how much you really want to replace SAW. That should get a round of applause from those of us who work for the state of Washington. Also, for the first time in state history, agencies will be able to share their data. They will be mandated to do so. We will standardize CX performance measures. We will create dashboards for accountability and transparency. This is an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives. When I took this job, it kind of took me back to when I was a consumer reporter in Seattle. I spent 2 decades as a reporter at King 5 and Cairo TV. I've listened to tens of thousands of complaints from people complaining about businesses and government. But after working in this job, I've looked back at some of the cases that, had to do with government. And here's one. So a woman sent me an email saying her state benefits were hacked and stolen. She claimed no one from the state could handle her case. I asked if I could come to her home and do an interview about it. She said, no, I'll meet you at the TV station. When she arrived, she looked gray and frail. Her hands trembled slightly. She had a smile she carried with her the whole time. She wore a heavy sweater and a big coat, even though it was summer. She brought her grandchild, who looked like he was in his mid-20s and developmentally disabled. When I asked about her documents, I needed her documents to kind of prove her case, she asked if I could charge her phone. No problem. While we waited, I learned that this woman was homeless, living in her car with her grandson. She was desperate and in need of the money she was owed. The phone finally charged up. We were able to pull some documents and we were able to help her. We tried to help her. I had contacts. She had nothing. When she left, I wondered what else I could do to help her. I gave her $20 for gas. She left phone in hand. We learned much later that her benefits could not be replaced. But really, I failed her. I didn't ask her what other services she was receiving. There had to be something in which she and her grandson were eligible. There had to be. But I had tons of cases, thousands of calls, and lots of other people were having trouble. But I did fail her. But in this job, I have an opportunity to make things right for others. See, if we work together, that phone could have saved her. Imagine with a single call or login, she's transferred to another agency where they can check on other benefits for which she was eligible. An anticipatory and connected government would alert her if her grandson was eligible too. Maybe the solution to her needs was right in her hand. She was mobile and healthy enough to get around. But our government was not and is not able to connect all of the dots for her. But we're trying, and we can do better. If agencies can decide to work together, we can provide hope for people like her. See, as much as people hate on government, we are in the business of hope. Most people contact the state and believe it's a 50-50 or less proposition that they're going to get what they want. I love the fact that we can change that. And here's some of what we're doing. First, we're trusting and empowering our frontline staff. Second, telling the stories of our successes. And third, busting silos. First, the issue of frontline staff. So the team decided to take a look at the Washington State Employee Survey. We wanted to know how frontline public-facing employees felt about their jobs. And it's not good. Staff in public-facing roles reported lower engagement consistently across all dimensions. That's compared to all state workers. They were 3 to 6% less likely to say yes, that they can manage their job responsibilities in a way that enables a healthy work-life balance, that they are satisfied with their telework and remote work opportunities, that they recommend their agency is a great place to work, that they're satisfied with their agency, that they are appropriately involved in decisions that affect their work. Yep, so all those surveys and research and plans teams across the state put together, these public-facing employees are the tip of the spear, the point of contact with the consumer, and the people responsible for delivering the product are the least happy of all the employees who put that brilliant and well thought out strategy together. In many cases, we've lost before the game even started. First, we created our own survey for that group that is within the employee survey. It's a short survey, but we hope it gets us closer to answers and solutions. In the meantime, our office is working to create a customer service worker of the quarter. We will have co-workers in the public vote for their candidate on our new website. After the winner is chosen, we'll provide a gift certificate for the team for lunch. They'll also get some swag, they'll get some FaceTime with the governor, and we'll do a short story with them that we'll place on our website and on social media. We're going to start a public-facing employee council and community of practice. We want them to feel wanted, welcomed, and valued. And once we get the survey results, we'll share them and look for other answers and solutions. But if we get this right, big gains will come. Studies tell us in business, well-informed employees outperform their peers by 77%. Productivity increases by 20 to 25% in firms where employees feel connected. And among state government employees in a nationwide survey, fully engaged employees are twice as likely to stay, 2.5 times more likely to feel they're making a difference, 2.5 times more likely to recommend their workplace, and 3 times more likely to say they're very satisfied. So I believe the investment in our own people will pay off. Another thing to remember as managers is that customer service begins with in-house leadership. How leaders treat their employees is how those employees will handle their customers. Show empathy to your employees, they will show it to their coworkers and customers. The next thing you can do is tell your story. Brag. Let people know how good you are. Praise your people publicly. Provide avenues for customers on your web pages to tell those stories. Use your communication staff, if you have enough, to shoot stories, to talk to your customers outside of the office. Encourage storytelling at every level. Tell them the story of your team. I see so many people doing great work. It's what makes this work special and unique. We're going to show you one of the videos that we've done. Sometimes we think of the state as this huge bureaucracy that cares very little about people. Well, there are other times too, where you just have two mothers trying to do the right thing.
The Department of Corrections can review an individual based on some criteria and transition them out of prison up to 12 months early.
That's what happened to Tiffany Torres. DOC placed her under strict home supervision so she could be a better parent to her 3 girls, the oldest being Savannah.
This program's helped me tremendously. I've done parenting classes, so I feel that I'm a better parent to my children. I've got 1 credit left to complete my high school diploma that I didn't ever think I'd be able to do. I thought that I was going to have to spend my whole 2 years there without my kids having me.
Tiffany called me and mentioned that Savannah had went to the hospital earlier, and her doctor had called her and told her she needed to get back to the emergency room right away. And so she asked for permission to go, and of course I was like, absolutely.
We took her in to get blood tests, and they said they diagnosed her with the B-cell lymphoblastic leukemia. I just stared at the doctor like, you're crazy, you're lying to me. Me and Savannah, we've always watched like the St. Jude's commercials, and always said, look at those poor little kids. But now we're at the point that is my kid.
It was devastating news. Making matters worse, under the program's supervision rules, Tiffany was to return home immediately, leaving Savannah to face the night alone.
It literally broke my heart. I'm a mom, and I couldn't even fathom something like that happening with one of my children. And so my heart went out to her, and whatever I could do to make it better, I was willing to do.
So I'm not going nowhere. You're going to have to come and get me with handcuffs before I leave this hospital. I'm not leaving my child here.
I knew that I had to make a decision on what was next, but if it was me and my child, there's no way nobody could have told me not to stay there with my kid. And so I wouldn't dare tell her.
Katrina took herself out of DOC's position and put herself in a mom position and said, I don't really know what to do, but me being a mom, I'm not going to tell you have to leave. I will come up personally and come see you to make sure that you could stay with your child. And that's what she did.
Would you do it again?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Savannah is continuing her treatment. Tiffany and Officer Avon, their relationship still goes on, and it will. And we'll keep you updated. Remember, it's not state government's Washington. It's your Washington. And I'm Jesse Jones. So there are so many stories like this in state government. I started as an investigative reporter. All I was doing was looking for bad news. I get to the state and I find there's so much good news, but no one's out there telling those stories. You need to do it. because it really makes a difference in the way people see you and see government. The other thing we want to do is bust silos. Talk to your agency partners. We have spoken to so many agencies about what they're doing in the CX space. So many of them are doing stellar work. Department of Health, Fish and Wildlife, ESD. Awesome, awesome job. I mean, blown away. We're going to use them as leaders among the rest of state agencies. These guys are doing a great job. The problem is these agencies need to talk to each other and share their skills and their wins with other agencies in the state. That has to happen. If I've said this a million times, let's just make it 1,000,001. The answer when it comes to customer experience in state government, the answer is in the room. I don't think we have to go far and wide to find answers. The answers are here. We just need people to talk. We need people to gather together. We need people to share. Now, more than ever. We've established a COP of the CX liaisons to help foster those conversations, and that hopefully can lead to breakthroughs. Last thing I'd like to do, pardon me, but I just think some things need to be said. I want to recognize the times we're in right now. Job cuts are happening seemingly everywhere, and people are hurting. Word is, this morning, Amazon's letting 30,000 people go. SNAP recipients may be looking at receiving no benefits by the start of November. Some of the people we help are currently sitting around the kitchen table trying to figure out how they're going to feed their children. It's obvious we're in for a tough ride. And the residents of Washington are going to need us more than ever. And we must be ready to meet that challenge. There's no better time to provide excellent customer service than right now. We can do so much for people who really need us. But before we do anything with this shiny new executive order, I'd like for you personally to be at your best. I'm sure many of you and your coworkers and friends who've lost their jobs in state government. That in turn puts pressure on you to get your job done. It's stressful, it's hard, it's difficult to see it all at the end of this. Taking phone calls and doing casework on residents who are also not at their best isn't easy. And feeling like you're not being heard by your customer and your boss must be frustrating. And now on top of all of that, you have your responsibilities at home. Some of you have extended family and friends you're caring for too. These are the people you love, and they may be facing tough times too. Last week, I spoke to the executive assistance group. That too is a high-pressure job with lots of responsibilities. My point to them and to you is all of this extra work on the job, what's happening at home, these crazy world events where it feels like you have no control, can make you a candidate for burnout. Burnout starts with small sacrifices like skipping lunch, answering just one more email before bed, canceling a weekend plan because something urgent came up. Then that becomes your normal. Soon you can't remember the last time you rested without guilt. You feel obligated to be available, not because anyone demanded it outright, but because you hold yourself to an impossible standard. But here's the truth. You cannot pour from an empty cup. When you ignore your own needs for too long, your ability to care for others and to lead begins to erode. So before we launch this CX journey, I think this is where we need to be our best for ourselves. So be good to yourself first. A few tips. First, rest is medicine. Take it. Set boundaries. And if you're stressed, talk about it to someone early on. Burnout thrives in silence. If you're starting to feel stretched too thin, speak up. Not as a complaint, but as a proactive step. And redefine what done means. Perfectionism fuels burnout. We have so much work to do. It's so exciting, but we can't do any of this without you. We can't. Remember, you are not your output. You are your impact. And with the CO, we can impact thousands upon thousands of people. We can help shape the way people look at government. And I'd like to give people hope where there's little to be found. And we can all do that. But remember, we need you to make it happen. And with that, I'd like to introduce one of the people helping us along the way, Tamieca Hamlin. Once again, Tamieca Hamlin is the president of the Hamlin Consulting Group. She is former Deputy Chief Customer Service Experience Officer with the USDA. She has 25 years experience in the CX space and a two-time winner of the National Service to the Citizen Award, an award given to individuals and teams which represent the best of public service. Everybody, let's welcome to Tamieca.
Good morning. Thanks, Jesse and your Washington team. I'm truly honored to be here and partner with the great state of Washington on this important work. This marks a new chapter in my career as well. For me, this journey has been both humbling and profoundly rewarding. And let me just say, Jesse, you're a tough act to follow. You touched on all the key points that I was going to talk about anyway. You have all the key ingredients here in Washington State, and kudos to your governor for putting out that EO on customer experience, because you need that lever in order to empower your office to go out and do this great work. When I think about my 25 years of service, I started in 1999 and ended my federal career in 2025. But it's that dash, it's that decade of work, and that dash represents it represents the thousands of customers that we've served and had the opportunity to impact their lives and make change. And the people behind that dash for me have been farmers fighting for their families, passed down through generations, children facing food insecurities, elderly citizens navigating complex benefits, rural communities often overlooked and underserved, veterans applying for benefits that they've earned, and families impacted by sudden life events seeking help. I love the fact, Jesse, how you spoke on you felt like you failed the customer that you came to help in the office. However, I would love for everybody to think about, from the federal perspective and the state perspective, what if we had a government that the services came to them, right? So on the federal level, we did a trial of bringing these agencies together for life events, right? So a mother was having a baby in a crisis. So all these services around these different agencies will come to her, and she would have the services come to her versus her looking. What if it was a financial disaster? And typically you go across different government agencies to get service, but what if these services came to them? What does customer look like at that level? Customer experience look like at that level? What does it really mean? Oftentimes when you hear people speak of customer experience, you don't really think about the actionable items and actual service delivery. These are the things that Jesse touched on, which are amazing. It's that listening better to serve better, right? It's listening to the needs that people have and meeting them where they are, and not just assuming that you know what they need. It's about dignity and respect, treating every person with respect, with the respect that they deserve every single time. It's about breaking down silos, eliminating barriers, and breaking down complex systems that everyone uses. It's about plain language. It's about trust and transparency and being clear and honest about the process and timelines. It's also about accountability. What I can say about Jesse and the governor here in Washington State, you guys are very accountable and trying to be very transparent in the way you move. And then you're very transparent by going out to the community and making sure people understand what you have to offer. And is meeting people where they are. Jesse is out in the community with your Washington team, always there to continue to move things along together as a team. And it's about outdated policy and laws and systems that you are moving these barriers out because you understand that people are always changing. If we look at where we are today in this landscape and this infrastructure that's happening in the federal government, I think now Washington State is one of the states that leads, that understands, hey, we're not going to wait for federal government. We're not going to wait for anybody. Our people are in need. We're going to go out to the community. We're going to be change agents, and we're going to make sure that they understand what we have, and we're here to help. A lot of times in government, people will always say, well, this is how we always did business. And this is government is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to have some layers, and you can't give services right away to people. It's like creating barriers. But this is a time of change. People aren't the same that they were 20 years ago. They're not the same as pre-COVID. Heck, if you listen, I have old co-workers, I got friends, families, and neighbors. They aren't the same as they were 2 weeks ago. Their needs have changed, and it's ever changing. The only way you can realize how to help people is exactly what Jesse just touched on too. It's the voice of the customer program, the voice of the employees, understanding what your frontline employees need. They're oftentimes working long hours and dealing with things and challenges themselves, and oftentimes needing some of the service that they're handing out as well. So how can we bring this together to better understand our customers, to better understand our employees? You need programs like this to constantly listen, to understand, to evaluate, and to make these changes. The implementing this EO, I think, is on track and is right on time to empower the state and local government to do the things and serve the people that we need. And I will say the customer experience lens, that no matter what the problem you're solving, it could be people, process, policy, no matter what it is. It's that secret sauce, just like that Red's hot sauce. You can put it on anything, no matter what the problem you're trying to solve, because you will get to the bottom of it and make sure you're developing the right tools, breaking down the right silos, implementing the right policies to understand your customers and to make sure that you're constantly available and ready for the change to help folks. One of the things also that I've seen a lot of states doing now, due to the government shutdown, there are food banks and all of these programs that the states and governor's office are handing out and trying to make sure that whether they have the backing of the federal government or not, they're here frontline showing people, here, we're here every day trying to help and make a change. And as Jesse spoke on too as well, it's storytelling. One thing about the government, be it state or federal, we're very bad about telling the stories. We're good being on the defense, but telling the great stories and the work that we are doing, we're very bad at that. But Jesse is the key, and your Washington office is doing an amazing job at that. And I think it's very important to empower your employees, to show them that you see the great work that they're doing. And how do we do this? How do we do this and continue to do stuff like this in the climate that we're in? There's no budget. People are losing their jobs. How do you make sure that government offices and agencies stay focused on improving customer experience? Jesse, if I ask you that question and you think about it, right? So typically your businesses like the Amazons, the Microsofts, the Nikes and Disneys and all these other companies, right? Great customer experience leads to revenue. And the federal government and the state government, we're not in the business of making money, right? We're in the business of giving services. How do you continue to improve customer service, even though it's not based on revenue?
Well, I think you just hit it, is that you have to meet people where they are. And you have to have, and Tamieca has started something here that we're going to announce later called the Whispers of Washington, where we go out and we talk to members of the community. We're talking to business leaders. We are talking to whoever we can to try to help bridge that gap between customers and government. And I think we see Amazon that's right down the street, and they're just amazing. You trust them with your credit card. You trust them with all that information. You trust that they're going to get the work done. But with government, we're not there yet. And I think it's a great goal to try to match that. So what we have to do is meet people where they are, ask the questions, and try to deliver on that.
That's exactly right. I mean, it brings me to the question after some of the talks that I've had before. Imagine if our citizens and the people trusted government like they trust Amazon. What would that look like?
Amazing.
That would be amazing. And also, Jesse, as I think about this, change management is very hard in the climate again where you don't have the budget, people aren't as motivated. How do you keep your team focused on customer experience and still being dedicated and helping folks?
Well, first of all, we have a lot to learn and we're new at it and we're a small team. We're just 10. And so we're not in a position to go into a large agency like an ESD or a Department of Health and to walk in and say, hey, we're here to try to change everything. So what we're doing is we're trying to find ways to get tools to be able to come in and train and be able to teach agencies and help them along in their CX journey. We don't have enough money to buy a whole bunch of Qualtrics licenses or Medallia licenses to go in and dive in and do all kinds of survey work. We expect agencies to figure it out, but we're going to be there to help them along the way. We have a great team of data analysts. We have great program managers that are here that, think of us as somebody's going to provide an assist, right? Think of us as a Magic Johnson or a John Stockton or somebody's going to pass the ball. We're not there to shoot it. We're going to leave that up to the agencies. And if they miss, we're going to rebound and pass it back to them. We are in a position that we can make real change in this state when it comes to customer experience. A lot of that is going to come within the agencies, and a lot of that is going to be interagency in between them. All we have to do is set it up, and we think it will happen.
Here's a key ingredient too, Jesse, that I think you're not even giving your team and the state of Washington credit for. And it's the partnerships. It is the partnerships. Even though you do not have the funding, a lot of times it's who you know and making those relationships. It's your agency partnerships across agencies. It's your vendor partnerships. It's the local government partnerships. Those matter a lot. When you don't have the budget, sometimes it's just getting some other people on your team to expand that reach. And I think you do an amazing job. Your team does an amazing job of expanding this and expanding your reach. I can't stress it enough. You might not have the resources right there in front of you or right next to you, but going out to the Evans School to get that partnership, reaching out to the federal government folks to get that partnership there, the Amazons, the local community groups that you have, that makes a big difference. And it also builds trust and the transparency as well, that you are out here trying to do the right thing and making sure services are delivered more efficiently and effectively.
One thing that has helped us actually is that we are small and we need help. And I am very, very transparent about where we are in this journey and saying, hey, we need the help. And we have gone to places like Amazon, and we've started partnerships with businesses across the country and across the state of Washington who do great customer experience because we want to learn from them. I mean, if you go to Ezel's Chicken, and if you're here from the state of Washington, you know what Ezel's is. And they have not a lot of resources, and they have built a brand and a level of trust with the people of the state of Washington. The CEO, Louis Rudd, and I go way back. We're learning from them. We are learning from Suncadia, the resort in Cle Elum. We are doing our best to learn from everyone we can. And the hope is one day we'll be able to help them. But for now, we'll take all the help we can get.
And last but not least, I know you touched on storytelling and you showed that amazing video. What do you think the biggest impact in storytelling across the CX journey? Why is that so important to you in your current role?
Well, I think sometimes you've got to prepare people to receive a message sometimes because you can tell them something and they just won't understand what they're getting. I think
Right.
we have to prepare people for what we're going to be telling them along this journey. And part of this is just making workers and customers in state government people, and people are helping people. It's not government. It's someone who's your neighbor helping somebody else who's out there in the state. And that's what we want to do, right? But at the same time, as this moves along, we want to highlight the people that are doing such good work here and let them know. And if we keep telling this story, we believe the residents of Washington State will start to understand it. They'll be able to receive the message. We'll be able to tell them what's coming next. And who it's coming from and who will be helped. And they will hold us accountable, and they will write little messages in social media and tell us, well, what about this and what about that? And I love that, because then we can come back and deliver for them. So it's really important to tell your story, because in the end, the only people out there to tell your story now is yourself or the press, who's looking for you to slip up and make a mistake. I'd rather hold my fate when it comes to communications in my own hands.
Absolutely. That makes perfectly good sense. Because I think, we do get caught up in a lot of data. And if you kind of watch the news and kind of hear what the experiences people are having, it's more around, this amount of people are going to lose SNAP benefits, and this is happening to this millions of people. But if you actually tell the story, talk to the customer, and actually the frontline employee that's delivering it, the people that's impacted, and you get to see it, it means so much more. That it's not just a number, it's a person behind it. And to me, that's even bigger than any other thing that you could say. It's that customer perspective and being able to tell that story, and them telling the story, and how this particular service, that a great experience, or the impact of not getting something or not being able to get what they most desperately need.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where I've got a question for you, Tamieca.
Sure.
You've seen the CX movement from its beginnings, and it's moving from state to state. How do you feel about that?
I think it's amazing. I think if you look back, I can say about 8 years ago, we've had some strong change agents in the federal government, like Martha Doris. She's been on customer experience since probably 15 years ago. And it was just about, trying to explain it and get people to understand. And then maybe 7 years ago, it started to become a buzzword. You started hearing more about customer experience. People didn't really know what it was. And then trying to kind of sell it to the executives, or so to speak, in the federal government, then it sounded very fluffy. Like people couldn't really understand what it really meant. They heard words like ethnographic research, human-centered design, and all of those things. And don't get me wrong, there is a methodology and a practice behind this, but it's the actionable service delivery. How can you impact the needs of the customer? Why does it matter that I just no longer want to build it and they'll come? Just standing up all these tools and using all of this technology, but without talking to your customer. It matters because you need to build the right tools. You need to have the right technology, and you have to solve the right problem. I remember being like a couple of years ago, and there was a thing like, oh, put farm loans online. The farmers wanted this whole process online. But our team went out to the farms. We talked to them, and the farmers, a lot of them, they had flip phones, and they out in the fields all day. They were just the biggest thing that they wanted to be able to pay their balance, like look right at their phone and pay their balance right online. Not necessarily do the whole farm loans process online. At some point, I think we were going to get there anyway, but it's prioritizing the needs, right? So it was what was important. So you put these things in your backlog that you can implement later, but you making sure that you're doing the right things first, the things that matter. So I think now where we are today is more actionable. I think people really understand a lot more that it's really about service delivery. I mean, customer experience was the best, was the buzzword then. It's still that practice, but how do you put it in layman's terms that make sense when you're trying to talk to somebody about it? And it's improving the services that you're delivering to the citizens, meeting people where they are, breaking down those silos and those barriers. So I love where we are today, and the nimbleness that I've been seeing at the state level. Irregardless of what's happening at the federal level, I love the fact that the states are like, you know what, these are our people that's going to be directly impacted. The local level, like you're in the community with these people that are hurting. Medicaid is being cut, SNAP is being cut. those things, you're still trying to make things happen at the level, at the state level. And I think that's what we're going to have to continue to do. We're going to have to be more creative in how we do it. We're going to have to stay connected to the community, because their needs, your customer needs today may not be what their needs are tomorrow. So you and the team staying in the community is going to be the most important thing. And then finding and making sure you staying connected with great partners, so you will be able to meet the needs, even though funding is being cut, even though staff is not, you don't have the amount of staff that you need to do the thing. So I love where we are today, and I love that people aren't waiting. We're ready to do the right thing with what we have.
Wow. Well, Tamieca, thank you for your time. I appreciate it so much. I am so happy that we're working together. You talk about partnerships. We wouldn't be where we're at without you. So I want to make sure that I thank you for the work that you've done so far with us. It's been impressive.
Thank you.
Rachel?
Yeah, thank you so much to Jesse and Tamieca. And thank you all for joining us on this journey, as well as in this session this morning. I did want to note, we've heard from some folks that the calendar invites may have two separate passcodes in them. So just so everyone is aware, the passcode is CX 2025 for all of our sessions all week. And our website is still down, but we will email folks out we'll be sending out the links to materials as soon as we can get it back up and running. Thank you again for joining us. We hope you will all fill out the survey at the end of the session so that we can keep improving this conference in the future. And we look forward to seeing you all in the next session.